Mantengan la posición, mantengan la vía libre, no crucen la calzada. Mantengan la posición, no se muevan. Caballero, no se puede cruzar. Caballero, a su sitio, por favor.
santidad León XIV. Todos pendientes.
Bueno,
todos nerviosos.
Es el momento por el que todos nos hemos preparado, ¿verdad? Ustedes, las 70.000 personas que estáis en estas gradas, las personas del coro, los bailarines, nuestros cantantes, ha llegado el gran momento por el que todos llevamos nerviosos meses, por el que apenas hemos dormido esta noche. Su santidad ya está aquí. En muy poquitos minutos vamos a conocerle y vamos a recordar que hace 15 años, que se dice pronto, que un papa no pisaba España, de ahí la emoción, el sentimiento que todos tenemos. Hace 15 años que un papa no miraba de frente a la iglesia de Madrid, pero ha llegado el momento. En muy poquitos minutos lo vamos a tener aquí, en este escenario, así que nuestros artistas están ya tomando posiciones para recibirle como se merece, con música, cantando. Vamos a animar un poquito al Bernabéu, ¿no?
¡Venga esa ola, Madrid! Hasta que su santidad León XIV pise este interior del Bernabéu. Y podemos hacerlo con una canción, porque tenemos un poquito de envidia, ¿verdad?, con la vigilia de los jóvenes.
Es verdad, el otro día viendo la vigilia de los jóvenes nos dimos cuenta de que ellos tienen un lema y hemos pensado, no puede ser. Del día 8 de junio de 2026 en el Bernabéu tiene que salir un nuevo lema para el Papa León XIV. ¿Cuál es?
Muy de San Agustín. ¿Qué os parece si cantamos Contigo, León, un solo corazón?
¡Todos juntos!
Contigo, León, un solo corazón. Contigo, León, un solo corazón. ¡Vamos, Madrid! Y ahora ese momento de silencio nervioso,
no,
¿verdad?
Espérate, es importante esto. ¿Recordáis que hace unos minutos os explicamos que queremos que el Papa sienta el calor de lo que es un gol en el Bernabéu? ¿Repetimos ese gol, Cris?
Repetimos ese gol cuando estén, pero cuando hablemos de los goles que mete la Iglesia, nunca antes. Lo veréis ahí escenificado, ahí en ese escenario que ahora mismo está ocupado por compañeros nuestros. ¿Cómo se canta un gol en el Bernabéu?
A la de una, a la de dos y a la de tres.
A ver, Madrid, que nos escuchen hasta en Roma. ¿Cómo se canta ese gol?
Escucha, yo creo que no deberíamos volver a cantarlo porque igual se nos asusta y ya no viene, ya no sube al escenario.
No, porque además es su santidad León XIV, es el fichaje estrella de este campo.
Bueno, estamos nerviosos, estamos expectantes. ¿Esto sabes a qué me recuerda, Cris? Al cónclave.
Al cónclave, que tú lo cubriste.
A esos minutos de expectación, de emoción contenida y de comunión que se vivió ese día, hace más de un año en Roma. Estuvimos los dos muy cerquita. Fuimos testigos de esa liturgia centenaria tan impresionante que fue hipnótica. Sus eminencias, adelante. Bienvenidos, muchas gracias.
¿Qué tal?
Es un honor. Es un honor. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes.
Madrid, vamos a alzar la mirada.
En el Estadio Santiago Bernabéu, su santidad, el Papa León XIV.
Laudetur Jesus Christus, praised be Jesus Christ. Welcome to this live-streamed broadcast of Pope Leo XIV's meeting with the Archdiocesan Community of Madrid at the Santiago Bernabéu Stadium in the city, taking place today, Monday, the 8th of June, 2026. For wherever you are joining us, we are watching the Pope entering the stadium right now, accompanied by the Cardinal Archbishop of Madrid, Cardinal Cabocano. And so I would like to welcome you to this live broadcast. Some of you may be joining us through our various Vatican media channels, perhaps the Vatican News app, the Radio Vaticana app, the Vatican News web portal, or Vatican News English YouTube channel. And of course to all of you joining us through EWTN TV, Salt and Light TV, Shalom World TV, Atmardashan TV, Catholic TV, Catholic Faith Network in America, and of course to you joining us through radio stations, among whom are listeners of Radio Maria England, Luminous Radio India, Radio Maria Papua New Guinea, and many other internet sites throughout the world. Welcome to you all, and a very warm welcome to those of you joining through our dedicated American Sign Language broadcast, made possible with the help of our friends at Deaf Catholic Youth Initiative for the Americas. My name is Linda Bordoni, and it is my pleasure to be with you here today. Today is the third day of Pope Leo XIV's apostolic visit to Spain. He's in Madrid, where he landed on Saturday. It's the last full day of his time in Madrid. Tomorrow morning he will bid the city farewell with a meeting with the volunteers who made this first leg of his journey possible. And then he will embark on the second leg of his journey that takes him to Barcelona. The third leg of his journey, further on in the week, will take him to the Canary Islands, where the main theme of his events and discourses is expected to focus on migration. In fact, the Canary Islands are a place of passage, a port of hope for hundreds and thousands of mostly African migrants who undertake the dangerous crossing in the Atlantic Ocean, fleeing poverty, war, persecution, the climate crisis, and hope to arrive in Europe, often on very unseaworthy vessels trafficked by human traffickers. And they hope to find a port of arrival in Europe, to find a livelihood, freedom, and dignity. And Pope Leo XIV will be present in the Canary Islands to show his closeness to those, some of the most vulnerable people in society, and I assume to ask for fair policies that protect migrants, that welcome them, that protect them, and that integrate him. This is the last event of Pope Leo XIV's third day in Madrid. This morning he made a historic first for a pope. He addressed the Spanish Parliament. He then went on to speak to the bishops of Spain, where he asked them to be witnesses of diversity, of unity within diversity. Ever since he has arrived on Spanish soil, he has upheld the beauty of diversity, asking again and again for respect for the other and for building networks of peace, of collaboration, of love. He is here at the Bernabéu Stadium on Monday evening to speak to representatives of the Archdiocesan community of Madrid, and we will see an event which is articulated with various testimonies from representatives of different sections of the Archdiocesan community. There will be two television presenters, two famous Spanish television presenters, Cristian Galvez and Patricia Pardo, who will be facilitating the evening and presenting the various testimonies, the various groups, and of course introducing the Pope to those who come to address him and to share their stories with him. This stadium is a famous stadium. It's called the Santiago Bernabéu Stadium, which is named in honor of a famous football player. I'm afraid my football knowledge is pretty scarce. However, it's the second time that this stadium hosts a papal event. In fact, on November the 3rd, 1982, Pope St. John Paul II visited this very stadium for the celebration of the Word with thousands of young people from around the world. Here we are watching a dance performance. Looks like a contemporary dance performance. We've been treated to a lot of music and dance since Pope Leo has landed in Spain. Spain has an incredibly rich tradition in music and dance, especially in flamenco. And we've been listening to some extremely accomplished musicians, singers. This is not flamenco we're watching, of course, it's a contemporary dance ensemble. I see the dancers are dressed in the colors of the Vatican, the yellow and white. And we are watching Pope Leo XIV ascend the stage, greeting the two presenters, Cristian Galvez and Patricia Pardo. The stadium looks filled to the brink. It has a capacity for 80,000 people, and I feel pretty safe in saying that that's probably how many people there are here this evening. This Spanish journey so far has been remarkable for the sheer numbers of Spaniards and pilgrims from across Europe, I imagine, that have thronged the streets literally to greet the Pope, to welcome him, to show him their closeness and their joy at having him in Madrid, in Spain. As I was mentioning, this event is a meeting with the Archdiocesan Community of Madrid, and we will be hearing the testimonies of a number of representatives of different sections of this community, as well as the welcome address of the Metropolitan Archbishop of Madrid, Cardinal José Cobo Cano. Those of you watching, you of course can see the dancers who are concluding their choreography before two singers. For those of you who may be listening on radio, it's a contemporary dance performance which seems to be coming to a conclusion. The dancers are wearing yellow and white, the colors of the Vatican. And Pope Leo is smiling as he watches the performance. In many of his discourses so far, the Pope has upheld the rich tradition of the Spanish people in music, dance and the arts, and encouraged them to cultivate it. Pope Leo has arrived at this event on the heels of an event in the Cathedral of Madrid, where he prayed before the image of Our Lady of Almudena and presented her with the golden rose. We then watched him make his way in his Pope-mobile through the streets of Madrid, which were literally thronged with people welcoming him and expressing their joy to have him in this city. In that cathedral, he spent time praying before the altar of the Virgin, who is one of Madrid's patrons. Present in that cathedral was actually Queen Sophia, the Emeritus Queen of Spain. And of course many representatives of the Church and of the faithful who joined him in that prayer service. A very warm welcome indeed. Flags and banners which contain the logo of the papal visit, lift your gaze, inviting Spaniards and Catholics and men and women of goodwill from across the world to raise their gaze towards the heavens and to take concrete action to help one another, to be one, to build a future of peace and solidarity. Now we are awaiting, here we are, the Metropolitan Archbishop of Madrid, Cardinal José Cobo Cano, addressing the Pope. He has difficulty beginning his speech as the welcome that Pope Leo is receiving is so warm and so noisy, can I say, with cores that remind us of a true football stadium. So the Archbishop is waiting, I think, for a little bit of quiet. Where no words are needed in this moment.
Santidad,
Your Holiness, this is the Church of Madrid. Pope Leo is clapping.
hace tiempo
Saint Augustine, in his time, left us a luminous insight that can help us understand who we are as the Church today. Sing to the Lord a new song. Sing together with one heart and one voice. And he goes further, beyond music itself. Sing with your voice, sing with your heart, sing with your life. We are a community, the people of God, who, when living in unity, become a song that makes Him present. The more beautiful it is, the more it succeeds in harmonizing the diversity of its voices. We know, as the Synodal Journey has reminded us, that the Church does not exist for herself, but to evangelize, that she is a people called together and sent forth on mission, where all, through baptism, share the same dignity and a common responsibility. Speaking of baptism brings us to water, and beneath Madrid lies a vast aquifer, a great reservoir of water, deep within its foundations. The water of baptism is the source of who we are and the deepest foundation of our communion as the Church, the people of God. It's a communion that in this historical moment, so marked by the division and fragmentation, we must embrace with ever greater intensity. In this way, we will be a church that walks together, that listens, discerns, and allows itself to be guided by the Spirit, as to be a sign and instrument of communion and hope in the midst of the world. The Church of Madrid desires to be a church that goes forth, a home where every vocation counts, where co-responsibility is not merely a theory, but a way of life, where authority is lived as service and where mission is woven through walking together. A church unafraid to initiate processes, willing to be challenged by reality. Holy Father, it is from these perspectives that we wish to lift our gaze to the great and concrete challenges facing the Church in Madrid today. To meet them, we must learn not so much to raise our voices as to tune them, not so much to multiply our words as to allow our lives to resonate with the gospel. Song arises from real life, from the mixture of life and shadow, from the hope that finds a way forward even when not everything has been resolved. The psalmist says, "My heart and my flesh sing for joy to the living God." And the disciples on the road to Emmaus experienced their hearts burning within them as they walked, even without fully understanding. Thus, our song does not deny the night, but neither does it resign itself to remaining in it. In our diocese there are many songs, and all are necessary. The parishes sing, the pastoral councils sing, catechists and pastoral workers sing, priests sing, consecrated life sings, the world of education sings, those who care for the liturgy and sustain spaces of prayer sing, charity sings, and so do those who serve through it. The elderly sing, families sing, and laymen and women sing in the midst of the world. Gathered in this great venue, we are challenged by a fundamental question. It is not enough that there be many voices. It is necessary that we sing together, that there be harmony and communion, and that synodality, walking together, be real and visible. The song of the good Spirit allows us to hear the silence of God. Only He is true silence, a silence that welcomes everything, that integrates all things, that is love. Being capable of keeping silence together enables us to listen to creation and to discover the whisper of the Spirit, resounding in the freedom and interiority of every voice. The real danger is not silence, but dissonance. A church in which every reality sings on its own may be very active, but it's not necessarily meaningful. When we listen, when we learn to listen to one another, when we allow the Spirit to tune our differences and no one seeks to impose themselves, something new is born, something that's not manufactured but received, harmony. Dear Pope Leo, today we wish to embrace your ministry with our entire Church and to receive your word as one receives an embrace. United with the universal Church, we do not wish to stop singing, but rather to learn how to sing together. Not to close ourselves within our own voices, but to open ourselves to fraternity, so that the Holy Spirit may compose a greater song that transcends us. We wish to be an ecclesial choir so humble and attentive that even the most fragile and distant voices can be heard. The more you love, the better you sing, says St. Augustine. There we discover the key to everything. Communion is not a strategy, it is the fruit of love. Here stands the Church, Your Holiness, with a compelling mission before her. The Church of Madrid, walking alongside the sister churches of Alcalá de Henares and Getafe, separated only by a few roads, yet sharing the same faith, the same hope, and the same mission. With your encouragement, we wish to become a new song in the midst of our dioceses. A presence that does not impose itself, yet attracts, that does not need to raise its voice, yet reaches the hearts of those willing to listen. Perhaps then, within our ecclesiastical province, someone will recognize, without the need for lengthy explanations, that this song does not arise from us alone, but from God. Thank you, Holy Father, for directing this song and for singing together with this Church.
Santidad, Eminencia, en primer lugar queremos darle las gracias.
Here we have Christian Galvez welcoming Pope Leo XIV, welcoming the church representatives who are accompanying him. Madrid is a city of people who love and live and who suffer. It's part of a society in constant evolution. Patricia Pardo,
el 30 de noviembre de 2006, cuando usted les invitó a vivir como los testigos fiables que el mundo necesita. Han pasado 20 años, Santidad, de esas palabras que usted pronunció, pero para nosotros, para la Iglesia de Madrid, siguen estando vigentes, siguen siendo inspiradoras, y a través de ellas le vamos a pedir, con su permiso, algo. Y es que
it's a welcome to
arroje luz en este camino de desafíos y de retos que a día de hoy aborda la Iglesia de Madrid y que son estos.
Santo Padre, bienvenido
we're watching a short video of welcome from the Church of Madrid to the Holy Father, with some of the images of this beautiful city. We see images of the cathedral, of the Virgin of Almudena, before whom the Pope prayed this afternoon. This is our history.
Hoy queremos mostrarle nuestra iglesia madrileña.
We want to show you our Madrilean church, the church that walks within a community of 7 million inhabitants. There are Caritas volunteers, there are families, there are consecrated men and women who work to keep the fabric of society together, spreading a message of solidarity, of cohabitation, of respect for the other. It's a church that brings communion to a life of diversity and that welcomes diversity within its unity. It accompanies its flock from the day they are born throughout their lives, offering sacraments, being close to the people.
En 2006, aquí, en Madrid, usted invitó a su familia a vivir el ser testigos creíbles del amor de Dios.
The Church of Madrid. Now we are watching some footage of Robert Prevost, a young Robert Prevost, addressing a congregation many years ago.
Testigos que miren y se dejen mirar por Dios. Hoy, usted es el Papa y nosotros somos su familia. Queremos vivir en la unidad.
We are asking our faithful to continue to build unity, to build family in which the Pope is our father.
¿Qué iglesia sueña el Papa para Madrid?
Raise your gaze. The logo of this Apostolic Journey.
Santo Padre, soy Susana Regui y tengo...
Holy Father, I am Susanna Reggi, a diocesan councillor of the laity. I have the immense joy of addressing you on behalf of the lay faithful of the Archdiocese of Madrid. I can say without hesitation that I deeply love the Church, the family of God, where there is place for everyone. Together with many brothers and sisters, I'm aware that through baptism we are called to be apostles, proclaimers of the gospel in the midst of the world. We strongly feel that this mission belongs to all of us, pastors, consecrated persons, and lay faithful alike, and we wish to walk together, growing in co-responsibility and communion. We know well that movements, associations, and new ecclesial realities will bear fruit only if in communion. We place our charisms at the service of the Church and of evangelization. We are convinced that the pastoral and finance councils provide a concrete way of making this possible, genuine spaces for discernment and participation. Your Holiness, we ask for your support and encouragement as we continue building a church in which all know themselves to be called, sent forth, and active protagonists of the mission entrusted to us by Jesus. And that was the first testimony of the evening given by Susanna Reggi of the Diocesan Council of the Laity. Now is the turn of Jesus More. My name is Jesus More. I'm a layman, husband and father of 2 children with disabilities. In both the joys and the difficulties of life, I have relied on my family and on the Church, and I have felt the strength of the Lord at my side, helping me to live my faith. I was invited to become a member of the Pastoral Councils, a body which, as our Cardinal José often says, has the mission of fostering communion, pastoral convergence and mutual support among all the realities of the Church, whether at the level of the parish, the deanery or the diocese. It's an outward-looking pastoral service, missionary in nature, seeking to reach everyone, because we're all part of something living, the Church. As one baptized into Christ and in my vocation as a father, guided by the Holy Spirit, I experienced both great joy and profound sense of responsibility in becoming a more active member of the community and sharing with the rest of the Church my gifts, my vocations, my faith. I would also like to highlight that our Cardinal, José, has asked the lay faithful not only to take part in pastoral councils, but also to ensure that each parish has a lay coordinator who collaborates with the priests in animating the parish pastoral council. We pray for your holiness and are grateful for your presence among us, as well as for your words of encouragement for our mission. Thank you. Jesus More there, who is being greeted by Pope Leo XIV. And now we listen to Father Fausto Calvo. The priests of our Archdiocese had the wonderful opportunity to come together to reflect on the kind of priests Madrid needs at this moment. We called this gathering Convivium. The name itself is significant. It was a moment of profound fraternity and shared life among us. We were able to experience what your predecessor, Saint John Paul II, described when he said that the priestly ministry possesses a radically communal form. During those days, we experienced our unity, our common calling, and our shared mission. They were also days in which communion with our Archbishop was lived in a tangible way. And through communion with him, we experienced communion with your Holiness. We are deeply grateful for your message, which begins by addressing us as dear sons, words that touched us profoundly. You reminded us today that Madrid, and indeed the whole Church, needs priests conformed to Christ, so that we may give ourselves completely through the sincere gift of self. For that reason, rather than tell you what Convivium was, we would like to sing to you what we lived. And now we listen to the Convivium hymn. Before that, Pope Leo stands and greets Father Fausto Calvo. This is the Convivium hymn. The Convivium is an experience of community that shares in an ecclesial context which began a few years ago in Madrid. It consists of gathering as a community of lay people, religious men and women, priests, mixed groups, to engage in dialogue and reflect together on the life and mission of the Church.
Ungido para ser un latino de Dios siempre vivo, en mi nombre abrirás los caminos, anunciando y salvando. Llénate de fe, confía, sígueme, voy a hacer maravillas contigo. Amor del Padre por sus hijos, servidor de mi redención. muertos la vida, ¿quién proclamará mi verdad? ¿Quién abrazará mi madero con la libertad del que quiere salvar? Voy a pasar otra vez por la orilla y al lado del mar soñaré testigos de mi caridad. Yo enviaré un giro para ser un latido de Dios siempre vivo. De mi nombre abrirás los caminos, anunciando mi salvación. Llénate de fe, confía, sígueme, voy a hacer maravillas contigo. Amor del Padre por sus hijos, servidor de mi redención. Ni poder, ni perdón, sacerdote, ministro de Dios, de Madrid al cielo serás mi buen pastor. Celebrar mi pasión, la victoria de mi salvación, cuerpo de Cristo, sangre de Cristo. Padre por sus hijos, sé en mí un solo
Nos
He
conmovió
reminded us
Amor del Padre por sus hijos, servidor de mi redención. ¿Quién devolverá a los muertos la vida? ¿Quién proclamará mi verdad? ¿Quién abrazará mi madero con la libertad del que quiere salvar? Voy a pasar otra vez por la orilla y al lado. Padre por sus hijos, sé en mí un solo
the whole ensemble of singers from the Convivium are approaching Pope Leo XIV to greet him personally, to embrace him, to thank him for being here, to receive each one of them a rosary blessed by the Pope. And now it's back to the two presenters, Christian and Patricia.
Está siendo verdaderamente emocionante sentir el calor y el afecto que le está brindando el
It is so moving to feel the warmth and the affection that is coming from every single person in this stadium.
Estamos en el Santiago Bernabéu. Hablaba el cardenal Cobo de goles y esto es
We're in the Bernabéu Stadium.
eso, cantar gol.
There's one word that everyone understands, that's goal.
Quizás más silenciosos, menos televisados, pero sin duda, santidad, mucho más importantes.
Santo Padre, son goles que no salen en los resúmenes deportivos, pero los goles de la Iglesia de Madrid ayudan a
We'd like to speak about other kinds of goals, quieter ones, less likely to appear on television, but far more important.
Va a seguir marcando goles y no va a parar. ¿Sabe por qué? Porque la fe no entiende de pitidos finales de partido.
Here we see a performance by the contemporary dance ensemble. They have set up a
Estamos en un barrio de nuestra ciudad. Alguien se siente totalmente derrotado.
the whole conversation and performance play on the metaphor of a goal, because they're in a football stadium, but the church of Madrid plays in the fields every day and scores its goals.
Definición impecable.
¡Gol contra la desigualdad!
¡Gol, gol, gol, gol! ¡Golazo González!
Y atención que hay presión arriba, joven que llega buscando a Dios, pero no sabe por dónde empezar. Viene con dudas, con heridas, con preguntas.
Y aparece el equipo de la parroquia, catequistas, monitores, sacerdotes, religiosas, voluntarios, agentes de pastoral, todos atentos a la jugada.
No le sueltan un discurso desde la grada, le escuchan, le acompañan, caminan con él. ¡Qué jugada de iglesia, Manolo! Aquí nadie es suplente, aquí todos tienen su sitio, aquí todos tienen sitio.
Vaya cambio de orientación, tenemos una familia que acoge sin etiquetas, sin miedo, son voluntarios de Cáritas y acaban de recibir a otros que acaban de llegar a nuestro país, a España.
¡Qué control! ¡Qué mirada limpia!
Contra el racismo.
Y ojo a esta mano.
So basically the message is that the church journeying in Madrid scores goals every day and will not stop until the final whistle. So they're scoring goals against loneliness. They're scoring goals against inequality. They're scoring goals against racism.
Que le han metido hoy a la mundanidad espiritual, que arriba que estaba jugando con este equipo.
And keeping to the metaphor of the football team and a football game, we have mercy in defence, justice in midfield, peace guiding every decision, a game that is playing in the world. But it is obvious that they are not of this world.
Efectivamente tenemos en Madrid un equipo entero dejándose la piel.
Santo Padre, la iglesia que camina en Madrid mete goles todos los días y no va a parar hasta el pitido final.
Madrid, 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 Madrid.
¡Alzad la mirada!
¡Que sigue el partido!
Lift up your eyes, that quip ended with the match goes on, and we are hearing true football stadium choruses for the church in Madrid that scores goals against loneliness, against racism. And now we hear the testimony of a migrant family. We are Jorge Barco and Liliana Torres, a Peruvian married couple who've been married for 29 years. We arrived in Spain 4 years ago with a clear goal: to offer our daughter a safer place to live and the opportunity to pursue higher education, enabling her to build a better future. When we arrived, we felt some apprehension because of stories we had heard about racism and discrimination. However, our experience was completely different. From the very first day, Spain welcomed us with open arms.
Nos sentimos especialmente acompañados y protegidos por la comunidad católica.
We felt especially supported by the Catholic community, particularly by the members of the parish of the Missionaries of the Precious Blood.
En esta congregación,
there we were involved both in the parish council and in catechesis for parents whose children are preparing for First Holy Communion. We also serve as volunteers with Caritas, whose members have treated us as part of their family from the very beginning. Through Caritas, we have the opportunity to volunteer as mentors for pre-adolescent and adolescent children in the EASE program. We also participate as facilitated in the Mamartena SAS program, where we support mothers, many of them in vulnerable situations, by providing a calm and welcoming environment. It's a space where, through the sharing of life experiences, people find the strength to relate to one another, breaking down barriers and enabling them to walk together in authentic fraternity. For us, serving in these programs is not only a way of helping others, but of giving back the affection and support we have received. It nourishes us every day in the mission we've been given in this life. And here we see Pope Leo XIV greeting the members of this family that arrived from Peru and found welcome in the Church of Madrid.
Santo Padre, me llamo Álvaro.
Holy Father, my name is Álvaro. I am 33 years old. Last year I was baptized, confirmed, and received my first Holy Communion.
Por tanto,
this means that I am still living my very first year as a Christian.
Este es todavía mi primer año como cristiano. El menudo recibimiento. Es un honor y todo un honor y un placer estar hoy aquí.
For my entire life, I followed a path completely apart from God. Not only apart from Him, but consciously rejecting Him. I always identified myself as an atheist, yet there came a moment in my life when I began to ask myself about the meaning of things. I felt empty. Why are we here in this world? I realized I had no answers. Something began to stir within me. I knew something was missing and I was searching for more. From that sense of emptiness emerged a new interest in the things of God. I began to see the beauty and the perfect design present in everything around me, things I had never noticed before. Then I felt a strange call. In my mother's house there was a small old Bible from my school religion class, tucked away and forgotten. I literally felt as though that Bible was calling to me. To be honest, I ignored that call for more than a year, yet it never really went away. Finally, one day when I happened to be there, I decided to take it home. The opening pages of Genesis fascinated me, and I could not wait to read the testimony of Jesus in the New Testament. Reading the Bible every day led me to know God, to know Jesus. That led me to pray, and prayer brought me into direct communion with Him, something I had never experienced before. Little by little, I learned more about Jesus. I lost my fear. Experiencing His love changed me, and I began to consider myself a Christian. This has been the greatest gift and blessing of my life. In less than a month, I will be married, and now it is no longer only about me, but about journeying together with my family, ever close to God. Thank you. Pope Leo is shaking hands with Álvaro, thanking him for his testimony. And now we are going to listen to a congregational hymn entitled Pilgrim Church.
Tormentas y a veces nuestra barca parece que ha perdido el timón. Miras con miedo, no tienes confianza, iglesia peregrina de Dios.
Esperanza nos llena de alegría, presencia que el Señor prometió. Vamos cantando, Él viene con nosotros, iglesia peregrina de Dios. Somos de la tierra, semilla de otro reino, somos testimonio de amor. Paz para las guerras y luz entre las sombras, iglesia peregrina de Dios. Paz para las guerras y luz entre las sombras, iglesia peregrina de Dios. Todos unidos en un solo bautismo, ligados a la misma comunión. Todos viviendo en una misma casa, iglesia peregrina de Dios.
Todos unidos en una misma suerte, ligados a la misma salvación.
Somos su cuerpo y Cristo es la iglesia peregrina de Dios. Somos en la tierra semilla de otro reino, somos testimonio de amor. Paz para las guerras y luz entre las sombras, iglesia peregrina de Dios. Paz para las guerras y luz entre las sombras, iglesia peregrina de
We've been listening there to a congregational hymn dedicated to a pilgrim church. And the Pope is greeting here the singers. And I think we are preparing now to listen to Pope Leo XIV's address on this occasion.
Queridos hermanos, queridas hermanas.
Dear brothers and sisters, good evening.
Yo supongo que para un jugador de fútbol hacer un gol en este estadio es algo que les marca un poco la vida.
The Pope is referring to the football metaphor that has been woven throughout the evening and saying that the Archbishop of Madrid is providing a great assist to the church in Madrid to score its goals.
Gracias. Esta velada es un gran himno de fe.
This evening has become a great hymn of faith, and I am pleased to join my voice with yours in praising God and in strengthening the bonds of such a beautiful ecclesial family which is learning the art of polyphony, namely of unity in diversity. I thank your Archbishop, Cardinal José, for introducing the symbolism of song, which shows us that numbers, data, and facts alone are insufficient for building community. Our hearts must sing. That is, we must interpret events and situations by celebrating their meaning with others. For the Church, this occurs in a unique way through the liturgy, the great memorial of the events that saved us. Singing is a necessity that permeates our shared life and also challenges culture, urging it to remain open and in constant evolution. You are a diocesan church in the midst of a people who love music, dance, and being together, but who also know of conflict, resignation, and at times despair. In these situations, the gospel can open up a path toward hope. You bear witness to the gospel in the capital of a great European country, the seat of institutions and organizations, where important decisions for the present and the future are made. It is also a destination for millions of visitors and brothers and sisters who come in search of new opportunities. Your joy will become contagious if you transform it from a fleeting emotion into a stable way of being, into a deep sentiment that renews individuals, groups, and the diocesan community. It is no coincidence that the apostles often invited the churches to rejoice in their writings, almost as if it were a commandment. It is the Evangelii Gaudium, a response we can sing together to God's work in Jesus Christ. His life, death, and resurrection have forever changed the perception of history for those who have encountered and followed Him, albeit in different ways and along different paths. Even today, the love of Christ urges us on. The verb St. Paul uses, Syneke, also means captivates us, holds us together, seizes us, and thus calls us to responsible action. Yes, dear brothers and sisters, as some of you have testified this evening, baptism truly changes lives. Our sensibilities, backgrounds and priorities come together in Christ and draw their life from Him like the branches from the vine. This means that much of what was already within us becomes transformed and ceases to be a private gift. It is now directed towards the service of the common good. We need not fear that this will ever lead to uniformity. In this regard, the New Testament, through its variety of voices, bears witness to communion in diversity, the understanding that was lost at Babel. According to the biblical account, everyone was compelled by a totalitarian, purely human project and ended up failing to understand their neighbor. In the encyclical letter Magnifica Humanitas, I proposed the figure of Nehemiah as an alternative to standardization and confusion. Nehemiah involved the entire community in rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. Rebuilding today means recognizing that precisely from the plurality of voices and visions, even though they sometimes remind us of the confusion caused by the diversity of spoken languages, a bright possibility emerges. Indeed, this is the possibility of building together, of transforming diversity into a resource, and of making listening and dialogue the common ground upon which to cultivate justice and fraternity. Within this shared task, Christians discover their unique role of guiding actions toward God, so that in His light, pluralism does not dissipate into disorder, but instead, through the practice of synodality, it becomes the space in which humanity rediscovers its solid foundations and its final end. There is a special relationship between the Church and a city. And this assumes an even greater importance in our changing times. Naturally, the relationship takes shape among real people through work-related and social interactions, but also through various communities, associations, and neighborhood organizations. The need for a particular approach to Christian mission in large urban areas where a new culture has come to life and continues to grow is becoming increasingly evident. This idea has been clarified and deepened through this synodal journey, allowing us to know one another and listen to each other more deeply in the context where the diocesan community exists and takes shape. The most important question becomes, does who we are as Christians and what we do reach where new narratives and paradigms are being formed? That is the inmost soul of our cities. Providing an answer may well be difficult, but it is possible if we seek the truth together. For this reason, it is so important not to be scattered or shut off within a group or environment where we already feel safe, among people who always sing the same tune. In order to reach the heart of the city, we must cultivate an awareness that truth is symphonic and always surpasses us, and foster a desire to encounter the Risen One, who always goes before us. He precedes us and may already be present where we have not yet sought Him. Indeed, seeking and following Him is the condition for being able to point Him out to others. Otherwise, there is no evangelization. And today we can understand this better than in the past. In large cities, more so than in other places, we sometimes feel that we no longer have the maps to navigate safely. So we must relearn the spiritual art of kindness, without which proclaiming the gospel risks becoming impersonal, an ineffective repetition, leaving room for frustration and mistrust. Dear brothers and sisters, Madrid is a great city where different traditions and souls exist together. God knows the hearts of each and every one of its inhabitants. He knows them as only He can, through love and therefore in freedom. He is infinite mercy and wants everyone to be saved. He desires this to the point that He became flesh and took upon Himself all the sin, evil, and negativity of the world. Behold Jesus Christ. Behold the good news, the grace we have received and are called to share with everyone. For all, without exception, are made for life, and for life in its fullness. The presence of the Church in a great city is a parable of this mystery of salvation. The book of Jonah comes to mind, a gem of the Bible, that I invite you to read or reread, personally and in your communities. It is no coincidence that the apostles established the nascent church in the cities where they encountered not only rejection but also acceptance. For it is in cities where people are more accustomed to facing diversity and change. Let nothing trouble you. Let nothing frighten you. Together as a diocesan church, you can offer a gospel witness that will harness the best forces of a humanity that is bombarded with images and words, yet is hungry for justice and thirsty for truth. Have confidence in the growing phenomenon of people who return to the faith or come to know it for the first time in adulthood. Be ready to welcome new beginnings, not as an exception, but as the rule of the mission. The participation in parish and diocesan councils has no less a goal than this: to adjust the sensibility of each person through listening closely to what the Spirit says to the Church. It would be a pity to reduce them to mere bureaucratic formalities. They are spaces of mutual listening for the exercise of discernment, without which not only does each person go their own way, but we also run the risk of failing to understand where the Lord wants us, what He expects of us, and what kind of conversion He is asking of us. When we are present in these spaces, worship becomes life, and bonds of fraternity and projects of solidarity arise among people. I invite priests to recognize the practice of communal discernment as one of the greatest opportunities that synodality offers to their ministry. Dear brothers, without strain from the essential, pausing regularly with your people to interpret the life of the gospel, the neighborhoods, the cultural changes, social tensions and ecclesial practices in the light of the gospel will enrich and console your ministry. It will also help each person and each community to break out of isolation and experience the joy of the Holy Spirit. Indeed, when we reduce ecclesial life to a routine in which everyone remains locked into their habits and roles, what we lack is the Spirit. The Spirit stirs up vocations and unites them, sometimes causing upheaval, discussion, and a search for a new equilibrium. Do not be frightened by all of this, but enjoy it. The stories we have heard tonight tell us, or rather, sing to us, just how much life there is in this church. One person gave the following testimony: I can say without a doubt that I deeply love the church, the family of God, where we all have a place. Another said, I felt great joy and responsibility as I became a more active member of the community and shared my gifts with the rest of the church's members. And still others said, for us, serving in these programs is not only a way to help, but also a way to give back all the love and support we have received. Behold the church, dear brothers and sisters. Behold the music of the gospel, with its compelling rhythm. When it reaches the heart, it makes people feel like they have been welcomed with open arms, like our sister who came from Peru to Madrid. Many, like her and her family, are initially afraid to draw near, for they have heard of prejudices and disappointments. kindness, even if it comes from just a few, can overcome the fear of many. Be for everyone like an open Bible. May the Word of God be found in your faces and in your lives. Love, indeed, is the language that makes everyone feel at home. Thank you very much. The 80,000 people present in the stadium Bernabéu, representing the city and the faithful of Madrid, are certainly embracing very warmly their Pope. The banners read, "Madrid with the Pope. Welcome, Holy Father." And as he has been doing so in the past events, he is receiving a very, very lengthy and warm applause. And now Pope Leo XIV prepares to pray with those present and to impart his apostolic blessing.
Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas, como también nosotros damos a los que nos ofenden. No nos dejes caer en la tentación y líbranos del mal. El Señor esté con vosotros. Oh Dios, que en cada una de las iglesias que peregrinan por el mundo manifiestas la Iglesia una, santa, católica y apostólica. Haz que las diócesis de Madrid, Alcalá de Henares y Getafe manifiesten la universalidad de tu pueblo y sean signo e instrumento de la presencia de Cristo en el mundo, el que vive y reina por los siglos de los siglos. Y la bendición de Dios Todopoderoso, Padre, Hijo y Espíritu Santo, descienda sobre vosotros y permanezca para siempre.
Having received the apostolic blessing, the event is winding down. Pope Leo is now greeting and thanking the two presenters. And here is the statue of Our Lady of Almudena, one of the patron saints of Madrid, before whose altar Pope Leo prayed this afternoon in the city's cathedral. The Virgin of Almudena was processed through the stadium before the Pope's arrival this evening. A lot of music this evening, and Pope Leo's homily, his discourse, as was the speech of the Archbishop, was imbued with metaphors that had to do with music, with harmony, with singing together, with singing the beauty of the gospel and upholding diversity within unity. Pope appears to be singing along. After this event, he will be resting this evening at the Nunciature in Madrid before beginning his 4th day in Spain tomorrow, with his final appointment in Madrid, which will be at a trade centre, a fair and trade centre, where he will meet the volunteers that helped make his stay here in Madrid possible. And after that, he will be departing from the Spanish capital and flying to Barcelona for the 2nd leg of his Apostolic Journey. The day following his arrival in Barcelona, he will actually be moving some 40 kilometers away from the city, and he will be going to a place called Montserrat, where there is an ancient abbey which is sculpted into the side of a mountain. Before coming back to Barcelona, inaugurating La Sagrada Familia's highest tower on the 10th, and the day after that flying off for the last two legs of his journey that are taking him to the Canary Islands, to Tenerife and to Gran Canaria, where he is expected to focus a lot on the theme of migration. We see Pope Leo XIV exiting the Bernabéu stadium in Madrid, thanking those present, waving to them as he leaves, among the very warm embrace of the diocesan communities of the Catholic Church of Madrid. The warmth of the people is certainly worthy of this world-famous football stadium. where football-like fan choirs have been accompanying Pope Leo throughout the events this evening. And with this we approach the end of this live stream broadcast of Pope Leo's meeting with the diocesan community of the Church of Madrid. We invite you to stay tuned to Vatican News's web portal, Facebook, Instagram, X and YouTube accounts for full coverage of all the papal events during this apostolic journey to Spain. And on behalf of Vatican Media, I would like to, of course, thank our sound engineer, Daniele Giorgi, the coordinator, Father Felipe Herrera, and of course our media partners, EWTN TV, Sultan Light TV, Shalom World TV, Atmar Dashan TV, Catholic TV, Catholic Faith Network in America, Radio Maria England, Luminous Radio India, Radio Maria Papua New Guinea, all of whom made this broadcast possible. And thank you to all of you for joining us, and a huge thank you to all of you joining through our dedicated American Sign Language broadcast, made possible with the help of our friends at Deaf Catholic Youth Initiative for the Americas. I am Linda Bordoni, and it has been a pleasure to provide the English commentary of this papal event for you. Until next time, Laudetur Jesus Christus, praised be Jesus Christ.
Escucha, hermano, la canción de la alegría. El canto alegre de que se ve nuevo día. Ven, canta, sueña cantando, vive soñando el nuevo sol, el que los hombres volverán, hermanos, ven, sueña cantando, vive soñando el nuevo sol, en el que los hombres volverán a ser ¡Arriba Madrid! Si en tu camino solo existe la tristeza y el llanto amargo de la soledad,
piedad completa. Ven, canta, vive soñando.